Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I want to apologize first and foremost before I even start the review. I meant to have this video up like 2 weeks ago. I finally watched the movie like last night because I've been just exhausted. I've been so burnt out on YouTube work and stuff, and I finally decided to get around to watching the Final Destination movie to finish off this series of reviews. So of course it's in this set. We're talking about the 2011, 2 years after the previous film, Final Destination 5. Now, I have went on record many times in the previous reviews saying that I've only seen this movie one time. It's when it hit DVD to rent, and I loved it. I thought it was really good when it came out. I was very surprised because, like most people, I saw 4 when it came out to rent, and it was terrible. It was awful. It was even worse this time rewatching it with what I know about filmmaking and whatever, being a little bit older now. And this movie just got even better. It might be possibly my second favorite in the series. My personal favorite probably being Final Destination 3. This might be kind of neck and neck with Final Destination 2, even though I think that movie's a little bit more clever than this one. This one has a lot of surprises. It has some really cool stuff that makes me admire it a lot more than I think it gets the credit it deserves. A lot of the fans were very surprised, apparently, when this movie came out. There's something about this movie. It goes back in a very logical way by the time you hit the end of it, in a very specific style that Part 1 and Part 2 had all those years ago in the early 2000s, and I love that about it. It, from the get-go, some of the things it's going to do later in the movie, without spoiling anything for you, it drops a lot of hints and ideas from the get-go, and I love that about it. It's a very cleverly made film, from the directing to the writing to the kills, the creativity behind all of those things. I thought was amazingly impressive this time around, after not having seen it for so long. So Final Destination 5 from the get-go started off on a really good note. Like most of these films, we follow the formula of a group of people who are probably supposed to die in a horrible incident of some sort. In this case, a giant bridge is supposed to collapse. I think it's the San Francisco Bridge, I don't know. But a big old bridge is supposed to collapse, and they're all supposed to die. Our main character happens to get a vision, as we typically go by, where he saves his girlfriend, his friends around him, his kind of co-workers that he works with, basically, because they're on a kind of a road trip as a team retreat type of thing for team building, and he saves them. Now, when this happens, of course, Death feels cheated and goes after this group of people. But again, the creativity behind Final Destination 5 is what makes this movie stand out so well. It's not about amazingly written characters like Part 2 had, or even, in my opinion, some of Part 3's characters were. It's not like that. It's just kind of going formulaic, but in a very stylized way that I think was really cool. I think a lot of people, again, don't give this movie the credit it deserves. It's really nicely made, and I have a good time with the film. I think it's one of the ones I would argue, like many of them, is pretty rewatchable, like Part 2 and Part 3. This is one that I would easily pop in any day of the week just to have a fun movie to watch. Now, I have my complaints, obviously. It's not a perfect movie or anything, but it's one that I'm still impressed with this time around. When I don't even know if I'm going to do a ranking video. I've talked about doing that in previous videos, but I've kind of went back and forth on whether that'd be worthwhile or not. But just know this is easily in the top 3, maybe the top 2. I don't know for me. We'll decide, I guess. I'll decide. Oh well. Anyway, so the film itself, I would say overall I really like the characters. Even the douchebag character, who's just kind of a ladies' man IT guy, even he's really fun in the movie. He has a very specific style of black comedy humor that I really like. I love our main character. I think he's pretty cool. Not that we get to know him super well where I could love him, but I do like him. I think the actors all give really solid performances, in my opinion, for the very small amount of character stuff they have to work with, if any at all. They really just have to be likable, you know? And I think this film gets that right most of the time, particularly this one guy in the film who reminds me of a young Tom Cruise. He's like if Tom Cruise, and what's that other guy from Parks and Recreation that plays Ben? Is his name Adam Scott? I think his name is Adam Scott. If those two got together, had a kid, that's this kid in here. Not the main guy, but one of the other guys. You'll know him when you see him. He looks like a young Tom Cruise, like bigger eyebrows, but risky business days of Tom Cruise's career. And he's really good in the film. I really like his performance here. But everybody else gives a pretty solid performance. I like some of the ideas that we have here, some of the different twists that we haven't really done before in Final Destination, and whether they really matter or not by the end of the film is a whole nother discussion. Now, this movie was also released apparently in 3D, but this is less affected by that the way The Final Destination Part 4 was. That was supposed to be the final film, by the way. This one ended up getting made because that film made so much money. That film was horrible. This one's really good. It's a good recommendation, like I said. But there are some moments, like the opening credits, that are clearly a shout out to the 3D. Like, we even have a throwback to Friday the 13th Part 3 with shattering glass coming at the people that are in the audience, and that's kind of cool. And some references to particular kills from previous movies that are pretty nice in that opening with all the credit stuff. And I like that. If you're going to put credits on the beginning of your movie, at least show me beautiful scenes while you paste that bunch of ugly letters from the 1970s over top of footage of those beautiful areas, or do something creative like this, and I really admire that. So, brownie points to them. But then I see some of the other things too in here, like the CGI. There is a lot of CGI in here, I don't think anybody could deny that, but a lot of it is doing things properly. It's taking practical effects, kind of like Part 3 does. In my opinion, it's one of the better ones, if not the best one. Taking practical effects and utilizing CGI to enhance those things, or to show a kill and then have the practical effect there. But they don't do the thing that happens in like Part 4, where somebody will get killed by CGI, or a CGI person will be killed by CGI, then you cut away to somebody else reacting to it, then cut back to a practical, fake as hell, dead body on the ground. And I admire that. You actually have a utilization of practical and CGI together to make a really cool shot in this movie again and again. I think a lot of that's cool. And again, the creativity behind the kills and how certain things are set up are pretty fun. These people all being co-workers in like an office, watching how they do things and how they operate, especially the one really sketchy guy, is pretty cool. Now, there are two actors I know in here. One is Tony Todd, who comes back for more screen time than he's ever had in Final Destination. I really hope he comes back for the newest one next year, because I love Tony Todd. He's a phenomenal actor. It's not just in Candyman. It's in other things he did too, like The Crow. He's amazing in them. But then you have David Koechner, I think is his name, Koechner, that played Packard, I think his name, Packard, something like that, from Parks and Recreation as well. He's in everything I watch all the time. And it's not even like he's in everything now. It's like stuff over the last 15 years that I just see him show up in. But he's really good in here as kind of a tattletale boss, if you will. I really liked this movie. I had a really good time. I laughed about a lot of it. It has a certain dark tone of humor to it sometimes that really enhances the film too. It makes the experience a little bit more fun. Like a lot of the ironic moments of like Final Destination 2 and 3. And that makes these movies better. Think of something like the Tan Salon situation from Part 3 and that kind of thing being utilized here. I like that a lot. I think the new one, Part 6, coming out next year, hopefully, could really benefit from that. So hopefully there's some well done particular things from this movie and the films like this in the series that could help that film take off and be very well done. We'll see, but hopefully, you know. So aside from that, I really don't have anything else to say. The music is nothing super special in here, even though it's not bad. But overall, sorry it took me so long to get to this review. I don't know, I just couldn't get around to it. I was so just out of it. You ever just been so tired, dude? I'm not even in my 30s yet. I'm getting ready to be. And I just feel so exhausted lately. I don't know what my deal is. But happy early 4th of July. I have a lot of videos coming your way in the next couple of uploads, so hopefully you'll enjoy a lot of that if you haven't seen that stuff yet. And yeah, when it comes to Final Destination 5 in this set, if I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it a really high 4 out of 5 stars. Again, it's not perfect. Some of the stuff I can't really go into is more spoiler territory about kills and whatever. Some of that's not great, mainly involving the CGI. But a lot of it's well done. I would say the film overall is a great watch. I actually had somebody in one of the previous comments sections who had never seen Part 4 and Part 5 see them for the first time based on what I was talking about in my videos. And dude, if you're out there, I hope you enjoyed Part 5 as much as you said you did, because 5 is great. I really love it a lot. I think it's got a lot to offer. So, with all that being said, I don't really have much more to tell you. Thank you all for watching, guys. What's your favorite Final Destination? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. And what would you say should be the idea for Final Destination 6? I keep hearing talks about firefighters, and I think that would be a great opportunity to do something cool, to idolize, maybe not idolize, but really put in the spotlight heroes in our actual world that do things, who are not wearing capes. They're wearing suits, and they're getting into fires and stuff, and they could die from that. I think that's a great thing, man. We need more of that as a country, so, you know, hopefully it's good. Anyway, Final Destination 5, what are your thoughts on it again? Put your thoughts and comments down below, guys. Thank you all for watching. Again, I'm sorry about so long taking to get to this review. Yeah, so thank you. God bless you guys. Catch you later, and goodbye.